The history and downfall of McDonald Land and the Disney's McDonald's Happy Meal.
It's a story that spans over 50 years and goes in quite a few unexpected directions. So sit back, relax, and let's take a deep dive into one of fast food's most iconic and absolutely bonkers advertising campaigns.
What the fuck is this? Damn, Ronald looks so sad. Holy shit. It's like he's listening to Marilyn Manson for the first time. He's going through a phase or something. Christ. Someone help my boy out. We live in a fucking restaurant. Shit.
Beyond operational changes was rebranding the face of McDonald's with a new official mascot.
Yeah, he looks cool.
Named Speedy.
Yeah, Speedy looks
McDonald's
great.
Franchise really take off was a milkshake mixer salesman by the name of Ray Kroc. So he made a deal with the McDonald's brothers to begin franchising the fast food restaurant all over the country.
Well, I said, why don't you get somebody to do it? They said, well, we don't know anybody who want to do it.
This sounds like a guy who made milkshakes for McDonald's.
You want to buy?
So I said, what are you doing with the milkshakes? I said, I'll come in there and fucking make the milkshakes for you.
So for our story, you just need to know that in 1961, Ray Kroc officially bought them out and began focusing on expanding the fast food franchise exponentially. But first was to establish a new mascot that was a bit more enticing than a winking hand. Enter Bozo the Clown, who was first introduced on television in 1949, and by the 1960s he became the world's most famous clown. And
yes, what a wonderful
numerous
character.
Actors played the charming clown during the height of his popularity.
Yes, of course. Can you fucking believe that there was a time in our evolutionary history where people actually enjoyed these things? Like, it's crazy to look back on it. Like, I often think, like, you know, people from back in the day weren't so different from us now. They just didn't have, like, the same luxuries and, like, knowledge. But no, people back then were fucking weird. Like, look at this shit.
I'm Ronald McDonald. Give me a McDonald's shake.
Pretty cool costume.
The restaurant's new mascot, Ronald McDonald, made it and boost their influence on children even further.
Did anyone ever like Ronald McDonald, though? I mean, even I remember as a kid, we all fucking hated him.
Ah, the pitter-patter.
And, I mean, the only one that was kind of cool was the Hamburglar, just because his name is cool.
Is music to our ears.
McDonald's when suddenly...
Oh god, not the burger alarm!
Cried Tim.
Holy fuck.
One adventure had Ronald and his friend Tim encounter the Hamburglar, who was trying to steal all those delicious McDonald's hamburgers.
I don't remember him looking like that.
With a giant milkshake machine aboard a
Christ.
train, Ronald decides to whip up an irresistible McDonald's chocolate shake. He demands for them to hand over all those tasty Filet-O-Fish sandwiches.
Or what?
Billy?
Does he have a weapon?
Puts a hole
He just pulls out a fucking knife or something? Like, what is he gonna do to you?
Filet-O-Fish Lake.
Don't give him your
The two friends
Filet-O-Fishes.
are then allowed to enjoy all those tasty Filet-O-Fish sandwiches. There were also concepts for a couple McDonald Land high chairs that were never produced. And thank God, because these would have been absolutely traumatizing to children.
This is a real design they thought would be good? This is like some shit out of a Lovecraft game, like The Shore. It's like an SCP. You sit in this chair and then all of a sudden you can smell the future or something. Ronald McDonald peers into your soul, bestows upon you a curse. All you can taste is salty Filet-O-Fish. Man, it's fucking crazy that these things were like actually considered at some point. That's wild, man. But Burger King had the Xbox 360 games like Sneak King, so they win.
Of course it's me. And all of your other friends, too. Come on in and look around.
Don't do it, it's a fucking trap.
McCheese and Officer Big
Holy
Mac,
shit.
There were all kinds of ways to have fun.
Don't accept a hamburger from a stranger.
There was the previously successful ad campaign, kids didn't really want to eat at McDonald's anymore.
Yeah, because it's not cool.
Star Wars.
Oh!
Kind of.
What?
Burger Chef introduces Star Wars Fun Meals for your kids. A hamburger
Star Wars just made them lose their appetite?
Imagine.
As the 1980s, which were used to advertise, as the name implies, the Happy Meal. The same year saw the arrival Birdie the Early Bird, who, as you can probably guess, advertised the new McDonald's Early Bird breakfast menu. But while the Happy Meal gave
those hash browns were banging.
it was also
Birdie the Early Wordy, or whatever the fuck her name was, she was onto something.
Of the McDonald's
those hash browns were nutty.
Seriously. There was also the matter of 1985 retired one of the most iconic characters at McDonald's, Mayor McCheese.
No, God,
hey,
why?
At least we got the addition of the
they killed Mayor McCheese.
Kind of terrifying McNugget
a
buddies.
public flogging to send him out.
Some happy news about
Its competitors, they also decided to get into the movie title.
What was that?
Their first
That looks like Ludwig.
only an odd one, was Star Trek.
Who the fuck was that in Star Wars? It looks like they just put Ludwig on a glass. Maybe it was just the quality, but I thought for sure it was a Ludwig Easter egg.
There's more than one way.
From expensive commercials, contests, and elaborate games. However, while the film
did
was
that say
generally
$40 million?
well-received, an elaborate game.
Holy shit! Who became an overnight super millionaire from McDonald's? Man just bit into a filet-o-fish and found a $40 million check? Like, Jesus Christ. A total of, oh, so it's not one winner gets it all. It's just like they spent $40 million on the game. Okay.
Was also a major flop.
Much better.
It was a huge financial loss for
I didn't
the
get that
company.
impression.
So McDonald, as an attempt to get back in their
Government is now looking into that chicken head found in a McDonald's meal. Investigators with the Department of Agriculture are looking into the discovery as well.
That is nasty.
That was pretty gross.
I don't think it's that bad.
This sunk the entire relationship between Disney and McDonald's.
Awareness of the nutrition, or lack thereof, in fast food offerings, especially when it came to McDonald's.
McTrouble in Fatland?
McDonaldland, including Ronald, came to McDonald's.
What? Holy shit. What an aggressive article.
Come on.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, see you later. Be back by 10. Okay.
Thanks for inviting me in. Here I come.
He made all of my...
There's a nip slip in this, watch out. Are you fucking serious? I can't even just watch Architectural Digest with a rich, unrelatable person flexing on me? Without fear of toss? Is there really a nip slip in here? That's what I said. Every rich person has a small dog that they carry around. It's just mandatory. Yeah, what's the timestamp so I can avoid it? It doesn't happen. Okay.
This
What
is my
the
vagina
fuck?
tunnel. Shall I go through? I'm gonna go through.
A vagina tunnel.
And then you're inside.
It's like something I would have.
Come in, Alfie. Come on, baby. I come in here to think, I come in here to create, I feel inspired in the vagina tunnel. So I'm gonna show you where this lovely...
Her house is like my closet.
Oh, God.
This house is wacky. That's just a giant,
This is my
like,
bedroom.
titty monster
Every time I walk in here, I feel
statue.
calm again. As well, we also have these lovely bouquet of vagina flowers. It's vagina appreciation.
Why is everything vaginal
Alice in
based?
Wonderland. Every room has a different theme.
Is she sponsored by Adam and Eve too?
This is definitely like a Mad Hatter's tea party, but there's like jungle theme. There's
She would lose her fucking mind in my
There's
closet.
like an old English
I'm telling you
style
right now,
room,
if she
also
went in
very
there, she would lose her
LA,
fucking mind.
And plants galore. Everything again, like I said, was very dark.
Do a
So
collab.
most of it was black
Yeah, I have
and
so many
hard to see
vaginas
any
and
of the
dildos
birds,
and
so
fleshlights.
kind of paint it all white. So as we keep going through here, this
I mean,
bathtub is
she's
definitely
even welcome to have one if she'd
TV.
like.
You see this little
A Moby
walkway.
Huge could really
It's
bring a
quite
room
scary
together.
for- This one would kind of match.
She strikes me as someone that just got so much money and had no idea what the fuck to
This is
spend
my
it on.
favorite. Change a little bit when they're feeling a certain way. That everyone needs to come up.
I have a small version of those. Are they still on my desk? No, I might have put them in the closet. She has like the double XL, triple turbos. Mine are still like the medium trainers. I don't know where I put them. It has to be in the closet. I used to have them by my desk.
Funny. I did not know this, but I feel like if you can, everyone needs to have a ball pit in a near vicinity.
I have a ball pit. She literally took my house and my goofy rooms I set up and put more money into it. This is dog shit. What? I made a ball pit for my dogs. I swear to God, if this is for her dogs, I'm gonna be tight.
Some sort of childlike innocence or joy.
Oh,
or
she
just
uses
the
it herself.
Need
Okay.
For fun. They're really great for stress. You can't cry.
I used to
with
surf
it.
mine.
I tried. Are you kidding me? There's a shoe in here? That's not cute.
Probably a dead body or something. The ball pit, it hides things very well.
I'm a big movie
Such as
freak.
dog shit.
This is an old classic.
This is cool. This is like the coolest house we've seen. It just has all kinds of goofy
This is
shit.
my band room.
I love
This is where I
this.
like to play music, instruments. I play the drums and the piano. And
She's the
guitar,
female
so
version of you. I don't know about
move
that.
around and play with. Get out of here!
She has inspired me to put more vagina and cock flavored things around my own abode. I need to free them from the confines of the closet and sprinkle them throughout the house. That was actually inspirational. Who doesn't love a good story? Human beings are hardwired to gravitate towards storytelling as their main form of entertainment. Since the day we accidentally flopped out of the ocean and began to evolve, we've been telling stories. whether it's written, spoken, or performed. There's just something about a good story that tickles our DNA. And today, I want to talk about the best storyteller on YouTube, Oki's Weird Stories. There is no one that puts more effort into their content than Oki. He will fly thousands of miles to bumblefuck nowhere to interview one person for a 45-second clip in his documentary, just to get the full scoop and be hands-on with it. No stone goes unturned when it comes to Oki's research. He's somehow able to unearth the most obscure documents and facts about his topics. It's mind-blowing. He'll find like finger paintings from the people that he's talking about back in their 4th grade elementary school, and then interview the teacher who gave them the finger painting assignment 50 years ago. Like, it's incredible how thorough he is. His content is absolutely amazing, so definitely check out his channel if you haven't yet. Today we're going to be going over his newest video, The King of Stolen Valor. This is the story of Jack Edema, which I'd never even heard of before. That name sounded made up to me like an NPC in a video game, but this is a fucking wild ride that Oki lays out and displays beautifully. Oki also has a Patreon, which I'm going to link in the description below, so definitely feel free to support him there as well. Is it Tier 1 tortellini weed shop tonight? No. So, Oki wanted me to watch this tonight, and I was going to watch it on my own, but he asked if I would stream it, so I'm going to watch this tonight because I fucking love Oki. And then after that, I'll probably dust off the 360 and try and set that up for some Halo 2 classic lasso runs. So I don't know anything about Jack Edema. Is that how you say it? Edema? So this will be like brand new for me. One of the few times I have no clue who this is about.
This is Jack in Afghanistan, holding an AK-47 and riding on the back of a horse.
Is that Steven Seagal?
Here he is on the night of his wedding, flanked by 2 security guards with his bride in his lap.
That guy looks so close to Jason Statham, it's unreal. He's just a little too tall. He looks so majestic.
Jack was not there as an active duty soldier. He was not a private military contractor. Instead, he was a 45-year-old ex-con that entered Afghanistan after 9/11 with the goal of collecting the $25 million reward on Osama bin Laden's head.
Wait, was that a real thing? Did we put a $25 million bounty on Osama bin Laden? We actually did? Man, I don't remember that shit at all. What a fucking crazy time to be alive. What? Damn. Alright, so Jack was out there on that Sigma grind set, about to execute a man for a payday.
Jack just rolled into a war-torn country, pretending to be an active duty Green Beret, and did it so well that NATO coalition forces helped him apprehend
I feel like it can't be that hard to blend in like that, though. Especially back then, they're not going to be background checking everyone. He just shows up like, hey, I'm here to help fight. Like, I don't even know if you'd question him. He'd be like, yeah, I'm a Green Beret. Like, alright. I haven't seen you before, but alright.
Down! Hands off!
Eventually, things went way too far after Jack created a fake paramilitary group called Task Force Saber 7, rented a property which he turned into a private prison, and started torturing Afghans who he suspected to be terrorists.
Jesus
Jack and the rest of Task Force Saber 7 were eventually arrested and charged in Afghan courts. During Phase 1 of his Special Forces qualification course, he was caught stealing. His commanding officer wrote that he had an irrational tendency towards violence after he attacked another officer. In an evaluation report, a captain described him as, quote, without a doubt, the most unmotivated, unprofessional, immature enlisted man that I have ever known.
But you have heard of him. That's not bad, actually. Out of all the people that enlisted, to be, without a doubt, the most unmotivated, unprofessional, immature is actually pretty impressive. More so than just being, like, average in every area. I always find when the pendulum swings, even in the opposite direction, extremely, like, aggressively, so in this case, awful, it's impressive too.
Flipping through the pages of Soldier of Fortune magazine gives you a better sense of why Rambo wannabes loved it so much. Underwater knife fighting techniques. Another example is a multi-part series on urban street survival. Much like most of the Soldier...
Can I read that pamphlet real quick? The underwater fighting techniques are really good. You never know when you might encounter like a rogue Atlantean soldier or something when you're just out at the family lake or something. It says you in self find yourself confine. I can't fucking read it at all actually, but it looks pretty effective.
Fire! Recover! Re-verify your sights. Holster.
Nice. He's training a full-blown military.
Around this time, Jack also started a mail-order business selling paintball equipment and non-lethal military gear. He's still respected to this day by paintball enthusiasts who regard him as a pioneer in the sport who sold high-quality equipment. He also organized Special Forces expos, which attracted the Soldier of Fortune crowd and acted as a venue for him to sell his gear. In 1994, he was arrested along with his girlfriend, Patricia Dawn Glosson, for defrauding 60 companies out of $250,000. In court, Jack legally represented himself. He argued that he was the victim of an FBI plot and claimed that the agency carried a vendetta against him because he did not reveal his sources for the information he provided to them concerning the backpack nuke smuggling operation.
My name is Ronald Gene Barber. I was a member of the Army Intelligence working for NSA. In early 1994, I was charged with the attempted assassination of former President Bill Clinton. I was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, plus 3 years probation.
Whoa. 5 years for an assassination plot on the acting president? People get more time for weed. Holy shit. Bill Clinton himself was like, yeah, I'll give him 5 years. He didn't really succeed. And he worked for the NSA too. So I feel like that would have absolutely carried like a hefty charge because of all the shit that he must have done for the NSA. That's not what I was expecting. I was 100% expecting a goofy story like, I don't know, like a gas station holdup for Lay's potato chips or something, and just happened to end up in the same maximum security prison as Jack. But yeah, this was a lot more intense than I expected.
Yeah, I was going to get him when he was jogging, and then I was going to hot-foot it over to the White House, leap the fence and run in, and grab her and stomp her to death.
Found guilty of making threats against the president, he was sent to a prison where he met Jack Adema.
So you told me before the last time that we talked that
makes more sense then. All right,
like a group of people that he.
According to him, he was, quote, one of the only 24 elite super-secret Hwarang-Do warriors clandestinely trained at Fort Bragg.
What is Hwarang-Do? I'm gonna have to look that martial arts discipline up. Hwarang-Do, also known as the Way of the Flowering Knights, is a comprehensive Korean martial art that was developed in the 60s. I want to look up some Hwarang-Do. Who's to say that he wasn't like an actual lethal weapon, though, of martial arts? It seems like normal street fighting to me, minus that jumping, spinning kick. This is such a mismatch. Why are these two fighting each other? This guy has 6 inches and 80 pounds on this guy.
He was also a part of the Army's top-secret SOT course, where they trained their elite ninja-type commando teams.
Of course.
So Jack really wanted to adapt his story into a film,
American
and it was while he was in
commando
prison where he finally
ninjas.
found an end. He met an award-winning CBS journalist and documentary filmmaker named Gary Skirka. He told me, quote, "Some people you have to tell to start, but he was the kind of guy that you had to tell to stop." Soon, Jack started a business called The Ultimate Pet Resort with his prison pen pal turned lover, Victoria Runningwell.
He even hired to train Ronald Reagan's son how to use firearms. Man, it must have been so easy just to make an entire fake personality back in the day. Well, I guess you can still do that today, just not as successfully, I don't think.
Coverage is good, but with me, it's mission first. It's not about
Amen, brother.
If you've been paying attention, you know by now that that surely was not the case. Of course, Jack planned to make it all about himself. He recounts that Jack tried very hard to make himself the star of the documentary and said, quote, "He's the dumbest fuck I have ever met." Artists recalled a time when Jack pushed a humanitarian aid worker out of the way so he could pose for a photo op with an expensive EKG machine meant to be delivered to those in need.
Well, and how successful was the photo? I bet that was the best goddamn EKG machine photo op they ever got. They just didn't know what kind of star they had on their hands. He deserved the spotlight. Fucking get the humanitarian workers out of there. They're blocking the light from Jack. I mean, this seems like it's Artist's fault, honestly, not his.
Eventually, Artist became fed up with Jack's behavior and told Gary Skirka that he would not participate in the documentary unless Jack stayed away while they were shooting it.
I took Adema aside and Neil Barrett filmed this. I put my bony finger in his face and said, "I don't know what your agenda is, but I don't want you at any of our sites. You're out of my fucking life." Damn. If edema is needed to make a documentary, then you can take all the tape you shot so far and shove it up your ass. Okay. Playing a little hardball. Maybe he was feeling a little intimidated by edema's 5'7" stature.
While they were shooting
Seems a little insecure
on
to
November
me.
11th, 2001,
Can't appreciate a good
Skurka
patriot.
was badly injured by shrapnel from an artillery blast and was medevaced back to the United States a few weeks earlier than he planned to leave. A reporter named Tim Friend said that after he and a group of others carried Skurka to safety and dressed his wounds, Jack arrives with a cameraman. Quote, "Just when we finished dressing Skurka's leg, Jack runs up screaming. He rips off the bandages and redresses the wounds. Basically, he was acting in front of the camera. With Skurka gone, there was no documentary left to work on. Jack was only there as a security guard, not a filmmaker." In October 2001 and June 2002, Jack appeared in over 1,000 U.S. newspapers and over 250 television news shows.
Damn.
He served as a commentator on Fox News and was paid $500 per appearance. It was a lucrative hustle and it helped fund his stay in Afghanistan. There were hundreds of guys like that in Afghanistan at the time, ex-military types working for PMCs. However, the obvious difference between them and Jack was that they were legit and he was not. As an Afghan
that just
businessman
means Jack has
told the New
no
York Times,
red tape.
If you're blonde or a Westerner and you're wearing black
He can
sunglasses,
do whatever he needs
carrying
to
a pistol
protect
in
you.
a leg holster, and driving a car without a license plate, nobody would ever question who you are. People just assume you're CIA or Special Forces or someone dangerous.
Yeah, it's like the same thing
People
with like
stay
a
away from you.
clipboard. If you
Even
carry
though
a
Jack looked
clipboard,
the
no one
part,
asks
he
any
gained
questions.
a controversial reputation
Remember that
among
old
many
trick?
war journalists. On one occasion, he pulled out a gun on a journalist named Tom Robertson and shot at him, nearly missing. And the only reason Jack was upset enough to try to shoot him was because Robertson had interrupted him during a discussion.
Jesus Christ. What a maniac.
He gave them to Eric Campbell, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation correspondent I mentioned earlier, who transferred, edited, and verified the authenticity of the tapes so they could be sold to broadcasters.
We've seen it in limited situations, but not in this wide range. Not in a wide range that includes motorcades, close quarter battle, integrated assaults, open air assaults, linear target assaults, a whole spectrum of terroristic activities.
Northern Alliance
a lot of buzzwords in there.
The tapes here shortly after
Cyber
the
warfare,
fled.
Intergalactic conflict, the Reapers.
Only because
Jack believed that The Peacemaker, a movie released in 1997 starring George Clooney, had a plot which was stolen from an assortment of several manuscripts of his life story. The plot of The Peacemaker does share some similarities to Jack's story, such as its focus on a backpack nuclear bomb smuggling operation. And although the court noted that there were some similarities between the stories...
Hold on, God, I want to read that. Okay. So that seems so vague. Very smart from Jack. Tell vague soldier fanfic and then sue anyone that has anything that remotely resembles it, it seems. Like, these just seem like circumstantial generic plot points that you'd find in an old 90s movie. Almost worked. True, I mean, he got a lot of lawsuits under his belt.
The claim was dismissed and Jack was ordered to pay $260,079 in legal fees, which he never did. Another person who Jack sued is a man named Eric Cassette, who I was lucky enough to speak to. Eric Cassette worked at his father's car dealership and repossession business when he first crossed paths with Jack.
The first day when we first got served papers from him, he rolled up in front of my dad's house with 4 blacked out SUVs fully loaded with special ops guys. He come to my door and knocked on it with a pizza box in his hand. My niece opened the door, and she was like 5 at the time. He throws the pizza box at her and says, "Now you're served," and threw his summons at us. We were served papers every day. He killed my dad. He was a criminal. He was a crook, and he was a nasty person to be up against.
Careful what you say about Jack. He's an American hero.
Around
you
this
ever heard
time,
of Tom
Jack
Clancy?
reconnected with his hero, Robin Moore. Robin Moore wrote the book The Green Berets, which the John Wayne movie was based on. He also said that he witnessed Jack choking his girlfriend during a fight, and that Jack forged a letter using Fox News stationery in order to submit it as evidence in his lawsuit against him.
That's so fucking nuts. Holy shit. Destroying his own house with a samurai sword and choking his girlfriend in front of people. Bro, what a red-blooded, God-fearing American warrior. I mean, that's what happens when you question Jack. He gets the samurai sword out. I'll tell you what, bub. Fuck with Jack and you're whack.
After spending 2 years in the United States, Jack returned to Afghanistan. When Jack returned to Afghanistan in April of 2004, he then arrested the suspected terrorist, Saki, blackbagged him, and stuck him in the back of a car to be taken to Task Force Saber 7's headquarters, the Honeycomb Hideout.
Shit! Now I'm really mad.
That sounded just like Billy Mays.
I haven't broken a mirror in 7 years. Now I just broke another one. Jesus Christ.
After days of interrogation, Saki gave Jack the name of a 30-year-old taxi driver named Sarajan and said that he was in charge of a plan to assassinate top Afghan officials.
Sarajan makes the decision on who to bomb.
When the Saber is not there, Shajan is at the charge. Can Shajan make?
Can I get a ketchup?
Hours later, Jack and Task Force Saber 7 raided
Joe.
Sarajan's house.
Yep. There you go. That's Jack.
Room by room!
It's like he saw a couple action movies and just based the entire way he moves and operates off of the characters in the movies. Just look at that wide stance. Looking like the Counter-Strike 1.6 cover. Fucking cruising, Jack. What a lethal weapon.
What's this hiding in your eyes?
God damn it. I also just love the fact that he 360s, so he just turns around and looks through the exact same door he just came in through. As if all of a sudden he's been flanked by the boogeyman. Man, and people actually took him seriously too, which is wild.
What's this hiding in your rice bag for? What's that hiding in your rice bag for? You a whole bunch of shit. Magazines too.
Inside Sarajan's house, they found some traces of explosives and a detonator hidden inside of a rice bag. Jack repeatedly asked his prisoners who their targets were. The two names that are brought up are the former Afghan Minister of Education, Yunus Konini, and Afghan Defense Minister, General Mohammad Fahim. In footage recorded by Jack's cameraman, Ed Caraballo, the former Afghan Minister of Education thanks Jack for thwarting the attempt on his life.
And I'm thankful for what you have done, especially in this kind of operations. And
he actually did it, what the fuck?
Such kind of,
So here's my, I don't know if this is accurate, we're not even halfway through the video. I'm imagining all of that was planted, not legitimate, would be my guess. I don't think he actually successfully did anything even remotely helpful. I am imagining he planted all of that, like, and set people up. That's my guess. I don't know. Maybe he legitimately did help somehow. But given this guy's entire history of never doing anything right and being the biggest scumbag possible, lying and faking everything in his entire fucking life, it would be shocking to me if for the first time in his... how old is he right now? I think he's in his 30s. In his 30-something years, he actually legitimately did something right. I would be shocked. So my guess is it's faked. He planted all the evidence, which I imagine we might get to later down in the video. But I could be wrong. He could have actually helped as well. There's no telling for sure.
On July 5th, 2004, the Honeycomb Hideout was raided by Afghan police forces, who arrested every member of Task Force Saber 7.
Oh,
they were arrested
Jack.
after Jack called Kabul police chief, Baba John, to turn over the prisoners. After the raid, the police found 8 Afghan men, some hanging by their feet, bound and hooded in Task Force Saber 7's HQ. They also found torture equipment, bloody clothing, handcuffs, and blindfolds. The prisoners said that they were tortured and forced to confess to crimes that they had not committed. After Afghan police arrested the members of Task Force Saber 7, they were taken to a jail run by Afghanistan's Intelligence and Security Service, the NDS.
None of you tell the truth. You all fucking lie. So, what's your message?
Don't be that way, Jack. Feet are very sensitive. Getting feet beatings must suck, man. I don't know. I haven't sustained like foot stuff, so I couldn't tell
we
you.
were working for the U.S.
My feet are very
counterterrorist group,
ticklish.
working with the Pentagon and some other federal
So you were
agencies.
working with U.S. knowledge, with U.S. government knowledge.
We were in touch with the Pentagon sometimes 5 times a day at the highest level, every day.
They've denied that. They've denied you completely.
Well, we're prepared to show emails and correspondence and tape-recorded conversations that show that's not true.
Jack also claimed that the FBI had confiscated hundreds of documents, videotapes, and files, which he could have used as exculpatory evidence. And surprisingly, this was true. The FBI, which, from what I understand, shouldn't have any jurisdiction in Afghanistan, seized all of Jack's materials and held on to them for 21 days.
Additionally, there have been problems with reviewing the evidence.
After the FBI returned some of his materials, Jack tried to present his case in court that he was in fact working on behalf of the US government by showing tapes and other files. One tape showed that Jack was in contact with the office of Lieutenant General Boykin, former U.S. Deputy Undersecretary for Defense.
So he actually
On the tape, Jack speaks to Lieutenant General Boykin's secretary, George Shim, who promises Jack that someone from the DIA would call him back on his cell phone.
So we were trying to put a firewall between your efforts and him because we didn't want to connect anything there.
Holy shit, what?
This was Jack's cell in Policharki prison. Jack, Bennett, Caraballo, and their Afghan translator were isolated in one wing where they enjoyed a plush prison experience. They had a laptop, a phone, private bedrooms.
They went to summer camp.
Satellite TV, plenty of alcohol, and a small staff of assistants.
What the fuck?
So their surroundings looked more like a suite than a prison cell. However, it wasn't always easy living. On 3 occasions, riots broke out inside of the prison. 4 guards and 1 Afghan member
Rioting
of Task
for
Force
what?
Sabre
An extra
7
TV?
died
Another
in a
flat
firefight
screen?
while protecting the 3 Americans.
I could walk out of this prison in one snap of my fingers, and that is no bullshit.
Do it.
Snap my fingers tomorrow. 1,000 Panjshir soldiers will come over these walls, and they'll kill every motherfucker in this prison that isn't Panjshir.
While in prison, Jack started
fucking call him on it. I want to see him do it.
Superfly! Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy. Yeah, your mama. I'm your daddy. Superfly. Go to Joe Cartoon, son. Cause I'm your daddy. Superfly. I'm your daddy. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy.
What the fuck is this? What they saw on the Ring VHS tape? What was it? What was his channel? Edema fan? This seems like this could be it. Jack Edema and his infamous Japanese sword practice an ancient art. That technique is flawless. In 20 FPS? No, it's actually a 60 FPS video, but he slowed the footage down so you can actually see his moves. His Bushido is legendary. Like a ballerina is right. That footwork.
Again, all I could see was him. A bad dye job. He was sweating, and I could see little beads of hair dye. And I thought, oh my goodness, yikes. You know, he's got like hair dye, sweat, and he's shorter than I thought. And on the phone, he would always laugh and joke when he was calling me from Policharki about how people would make fun of him because they said he was so short and he never was short. And I thought, he is short. He's really short. So anyway, so I was all excited to see him, and I just looked at him, and he just started being Jack. He started being loud, obnoxious, showing off, and I see him climbing up the building. And I'm like, whoa, what's he doing? And he didn't stop. He just kept climbing up the building. Then he did an
Assassin's Creed dive off the rooftop.
And I looked at the people around me now are looking, and
a bale of hay.
I just met him. So they're like, is that your boyfriend or your husband or whatever? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, what's he doing? I'm like, he forgot the keys. He's getting them. And somebody said, go down. Nope. He had to come down the same way he went up.
Oh,
and now
Jesus
I'm totally
Christ.
freaking out. I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated. And he's like, everybody thinks this is cool. And I'm like, oh, this guy's fucked up.
Soon, Jack rented a condo in Mexico, but in time, he was evicted from it after he was arrested for...
Honestly, sounds like me in my freshman year of college. Like, doing the stupidest shit in the world because I convinced myself in my head that everyone else thinks it's cool, even though it's the lamest thing imaginable. Like wearing my favorite Xbox game disc on a chain around my neck. Poor Jack just never had anyone to tell him that. My heart breaks for him.
Nothing was making sense. It was insanity. The next thing I knew, he's on the phone telling me, well, I'll have to put that on hold now because now I gotta get out of here real quick. They want me out. Fuck them, I was gonna leave anyway, but I'm suing them all. And I'm like, oh my God.
What a
Where
fucking
are you going?
loser.
He goes, well, I met this guy, Gringo Dave, who's got a really great mansion in Bacalar. And then I realized it was just drills, just to make sure we were prepared, because as the walls got higher, the paranoia grew with it. He would put a gun in a baggie to go take a shower. Nothing made any sense. In his mind, it was all perfectly normal. But
he looks perpetually like Ron Perlman trying to play like a character. It's hard to... It's like if Duke Nukem was played by Ron Perlman after like a bender, like a week-long bender. Like, everything about him is so cartoonish. It's weird. It's so eerie. Lou Ferrigno? No, it's definitely more like Duke Nukem-ish, Ron Perlman kind of vibes. Like, he actually just looks like a toy soldier. Like Small Soldiers, the movie. He's like a little bite-sized Marine guy, but never a Marine. Only a chronic liar. Wearing sunglasses, shirtless, inside, lifting weights. Every picture we've seen of him so far, except for maybe a couple, he has been wearing these shades. It's like a part of his body, like an extension of his eyes. I don't think we've seen his eyes more than twice in this entire hour-long video. He is always rocking these shades.
It was around this time that Jack got started on his next business venture, a military air cargo company called Star Aviation.
Jesus Christ.
It never got off the air. And it was Jack's fault, nobody else's, because we had the meetings and everything else. We had the funding. We had all the DOD clearances.
How do they have the funding? This guy was literally convicted of lying about everything and spent years in jail. How would he secure funding? How does that happen? What the fuck? How? I don't get it.
He purchased a pontoon boat and started a company called Blue Lagoon Boat Tours, and he made a website for the business called Oceans11Mexico.com.
The boat tours, it had to be based on Jack Sparrow. And,
that's cool, though.
He had to act like, and he would actually stand in front of the mirror and act like that. Did I get it yet? Am I acting like him? Am I doing it right?
Jack flew a pirate flag over his compound.
She's mocking him, but that honestly just sounds cute.
That's because it sounded like a cool pirate name to him.
The building over to Jack, and John didn't want to do that to Jack. He didn't want to give Jack the building. He still wanted it in his name.
Jack wanted to inherit a company called Isabeau Dakota. Isabeau Dakota functioned as a shell company to conceal Jack's assets from creditors. Flush with the money he inherited from his father's estate, he started using large amounts of anything he could get his hands on, such as cocaine, heroin, and booze.
His dealings with the bizarre demographics of people that were coming in and out made it not happy. And that was also when his drinking and his drug use was in...
In time, Jack lost interest in being intimate with Penny. He instead preferred to keep company with a young college student named Fernando and a transgender sex worker named Nancy. He started hosting all-night orgies at his compound, which he advertised on gay hookup sites.
Orgies?
How did you feel like when you actually realized that Jack was gay?
I guess it bothered me when I saw him making out with a man and he wasn't making out with me like that.
Penny left Mexico with the intention of never seeing Jack again. But then the exact same day that she landed in Connecticut, Jack got into a life-threatening car accident. In the hospital, Jack called Penny's phone and said this.
What on?
Hello?
Hello?
Jack there?
Huh?
Jack?
Jack, okay. Take the fucking board out. Listen to me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I leave everything to Penny. I need to manage it with her. Be good friends. I don't know about Nina. She was okay, but I think she's in the hospital too. I have concussion. I have a fractured skull in the
Jesus Christ.
Chart. You put me in here in Sarge. Okay?
Okay.
That's all he has to say?
Where are you?
I'm in the hospital in Kimball. I'm trying to get them to move me to a private hospital before I die because I have internal bleeding and they won't even look at it.
Okay, should I call the embassy and try to get the embassy involved?
No.
Wow.
I'll take you to the private hospital, dude.
Jack called Dr. Phil.
When I was on my
It did
way
sound
back
like Dr. Phil.
to America, on his way back to Bacalar, he had that accident, and everything changed from that point on.
A few days later, Penny returned to Mexico to take care of Jack and to help him rehabilitate. Jack started to abuse the pain medication he was prescribed to, as well as illegal drugs and alcohol.
I was getting sicker, and he decided that I should go be tested for HIV. To my surprise, he wanted to get the same test. I thought that was odd. I thought all this was odd. We got tested, and the results came back, and they were positive for HIV.
Oh my God, what the fuck?
And I wanted to make sure what I was hearing was proper because I didn't think it was right. But Dr. Dennis said that Jack was going to get worse, but I could go home and I could get better. And Jack freaked out. Jack just went ballistic. He took the phone, he broke it, and I honestly thought I was going to die. That was all I thought. I went home, I got to get away. I was quiet. I told just a select few people that I had this. Then I called up Jack and told him how sick I was, and I just collapsed. Jack wanted me down there immediately. He also didn't want me, and he kept saying, I hope you're not telling anybody, I hope you're not telling anybody, and I needed help. I couldn't tell him that because I wasn't allowed to say anything, but I needed help. I was scared. Nina is the dog that was rescued from Afghanistan that came to me, and Tinka was our Mexican kitty. So in July, I made plans to go back. I walked into the house and it was different. Everything was different. It wasn't clean like it used to be. There was dead flies everywhere. The door was broken. And he just looked at me and he was happy to see me, but his eyes were just black. He looked like he had been up for days. He reeked of alcohol, cigarettes. Natalie, the maid, she was telling me other people were coming too. So everything was there and they were getting worse and everybody was still coming in. All of the sex fest constant, it was worse than ever. Okay, and how many people have got this now? My plan was
Christ, he just tested positive for HIV.
When I say that was the plan, if you can understand this and try to wrap your brain around this, the plan involved killing Jack and getting my dog and my cat. So I went into the bedroom, I took the gun out from underneath the pillow, and he was at the computer. I don't really know what the hell happened, but he grabbed me and he started hitting my head into the marble stone, whatever the heck the place was made of.
Shit!
Just kept hitting my head into it nonstop. I'm petrified of mice. So he put a couple in a bag and put them over my head with the bag. And I fainted. And now I've got like bites on me. My head's still killing me, by the way, from having it slammed. And my eye was so messed up. So I was freaking out. So he took the cuffs off. He started being nice. And he said, you know, just tell me who you're working with.
She went back for the animals.
I wasn't working with anybody. Okay, again, the paranoia was kicking in. He was messed up, completely messed up. The Noblefina he was putting in me, he was putting 10 times in himself. Plus he was doing coke, he was doing everything. He was drinking like there was no tomorrow.
I will never understand the human body. Sometimes people will eat like an expired grape and fucking die on the spot. Meanwhile, this guy is injecting himself with 10x the like necessary dosage of a pretty hardcore substance, as well as doing coke and heroin, and doesn't die. All while having untreated HIV as well. How the fuck does that happen? That blows my mind. This is crazy. Yeah, I know like tolerance and everything, but even still, that's so superhuman. Fuck me, man. What a crazy turn. Well, I guess it's not even like an unexpected turn from the story. Jack's entire life has just been an absolute tragedy of his own making. Just an absolute fucking disaster. Like an actual biologically bred loser in every category. Just an actual piece of shit from top to bottom. Jack is a superhuman whose blood consists of 100% drugs. I guess so, man. There's just more coke than water in his body. Like, it blows my mind. I actually just don't believe it.
So he comes up and he says, he's like, there's 2 fucking bastards downstairs you've got to talk to. My friend got in touch with Ed Carabella and he called the Mexican embassy. And there was 2 guys to come to get me. They came to check the situation to see if I was there. The guy that wasn't speaking Spanish, that was speaking English to me, goes over to me, he goes, it's really good to meet you. And he put his hand out When he put his hand out, I grabbed his hand and I took my fingernails and I stuck them in his hand. So he realized what was going on. So he held on to my hand for a minute. Jack goes, "What the fuck's going on?" And he just went like this. He squeezed them back like he knew I was in trouble and he was going to get me out.
Kind of galaxy brain.
Okay. So who did I work for? Who sent me there? I kept saying, "I don't know what you're talking about because I don't work for any of these people. I don't know these people." Yes.
I still can't believe he ever got out of jail to begin with. I really can't.
No. And then I heard a really familiar voice. He's like, "Plumber." He's like, "Didn't you go back to America? Jack said you go back to America." I'm like, "No, I can't get out of here." I go, "But Nina and Tika, I came back for them." He goes, "You gotta go, come on." He goes, "I can't save you if you don't come." I had to leave them. So we're running, and his helpers are trying to distract Jack. And the plumber gets me in his car. He goes, "You stay there." He goes, "I'll call police." He goes, "You call police, you call people in America." He goes, "You gotta get out of here. You can't stay here." He goes, "I'll get you out." He goes, just let the police come. Go to the police."
I feel like any minute now, though, Jack's gonna OD and die.
They interrogated me. They asked me.
There's no way he has long left.
And
shit got so dark.
Charges, yeah. And they put me under
protective
custody.
That's what happens with a man who has unchecked mental illness his entire fucking life. Is a chronic liar and absolute piece of shit.
And
he should have never got out of jail.
Airport, just stay there.
He literally tortured people pretending to be a fucking secret agent.
According to local news reports, local police in Mexico want very much police to talk to him about accusations that he held people in his house against their will.
I thought that was when the nightmare ended.
I love the title of that story. World's creepiest guy is back. Or returns. So even, like, during his reign of infamy, he was still viewed as an absolute sleazy, creepy guy. This man has been a loser his entire fucking life.
After the deadline passed, Penny sold the deed of the Isabeau Dakota building for $10. In retaliation, Jack, along with loyal fans he met online, posted revenge porn of Penny to blogs. Pictures which they also sent to her parents.
Jack all started
What fans could he have possibly garnered while fucked up beyond belief for what? How long has this been now? Like a year? How was their fan? I guess when like they talk about him as the world's creepiest guy, people must have like been a fan or something, I guess. I have no fucking clue. That blows my mind though. Unless it was people like ironically pretending to like Jack. Alarming amount of psychopaths like this guy. Yeah, but they're not watching World's Creepiest Guy segments on Fox News. Or whatever that was. Yeah, I know that. The true crime weirdos. I know that, but like he's not even a serial killer. He's just a serial liar who pretended to be a G.I. Joe, Navy SEAL, super specialist, spec ops, whatever. Like he didn't even do anything besides like pretend to be those things and then torture people in Afghanistan.
January of 2012, we talked, and I knew what was coming. We talked on Skype for the last time, and I said, "You know what's going to happen." He knew what was going to happen, and
probably the last time anyone used Skype.
He said he was sorry. He hopes I could forgive him, and I said, "Yeah, but I really can't. I don't know, whatever." And I said, "I'll see you on the other side." And I said, "I'll call you Friday night." And he said, "Well, that may not happen." And I did try to call, but the phone just kept ringing. And he was dead the next day.
How did you feel?
Relieved.
Yeah, it sounds like good news.
Sad, relieved, and also, as a result of what he did to me, not only the eye problem, but because of that, I also am now on seizure medicine. And I'm also on a blood thinner because I had a blood clot go into my brain because of the eyes and the seizures. It's hard with all this bad and what was left. What he left me with and what I remember are two different things.
Christ.
Thank you.
Well, I'll remember Jack as an absolute massive piece of shit.
Oh, God, that was hard. Okay,
his entire life, he lived a lie of fanfic of a G.I. Joe super soldier. Damn, Oki went so deep into this. That whole Penny interview is wild. He did such a great job of conducting that interview. What an incredible story Oki told here. He flew to meet her for it? Yeah, I know, I heard. No, Oki only makes masterpieces, man. Oki will spend 6 months on a video and drop one of the hottest bangers of all time. Oki's also the one behind the secret space program. Well, he didn't make the cult, but like he was the one that like brought the secret space program to the public eye.
Hey, Penny.
Hi.
So you saw the documentary. What did you think?
I loved it. I'm so pleased with the documentary. Always suing somebody. Even when he was incarcerated, he was suing. But
alright,
unless...
Penny, let's be real here. He was never, like, incarcerated. That prison he went to was literally like band camp. This dude had a suite with his friends, and they just played games and drank. He was posting videos while in jail. Like, I'm not surprised he was able to keep suing while in that prison. I don't understand. That actually looked better than almost every New York City apartment I've ever seen in a video. Like, he was living a lavish life while in jail. That shit looked like straight out of Baki the Grappler.
Sir Edward Artis and Robert Pelton reached out to me, and they were just such guiding forces in my life. They kept me together. They worked with me.
Bro, shoutouts to Edward Artis. He was the first one in this documentary that immediately called Jack exactly what he was. Just a serial bullshit artist, scumbag loser. Artis has hated this man for, this is 2012 she's talking about, so for exactly like 10 years now, right? So Artis was on that grind. He knew from the get-go, like right off rip. Artis knew, he pinned him right away. Shout out Ed Artis.
Me to get through all this.
Thank you to all of my patrons who've helped make this documentary possible.
What a crazy
I've spent
fucking
several
ride.
months and thousands of dollars on this project, and I probably won't even make a quarter of it back relying on YouTube ad revenue alone. So there's perks. You get director's commentary on all of my videos, uncut interviews, early access to my videos, early cuts of my projects, your name at the end of each video, as well as a digital comic tied to my Secret Space Program video, which features me as a space samurai fighting Kevin Spacey's clone in outer space.
For those that don't remember, this is from the Secret Space Program video. That's the one that you guys might remember where it's a group of people, and they have an internet presence, that believe that they were abducted as children and forced to fight in an intergalactic war against the Nazis. And there's vampires, there's werewolves, immortal gladiator super soldiers. It's so good. And Oki convinced them for his documentary. He convinced them that he was an ancient samurai, and they even called him to like one of their conventions to speak and tell their story, or tell his story. And he brought up Mr. Beast, saying that Mr. Beast funded him as a samurai or something like that. I'm foggy on the details, but he fought Kevin Spacey. It's so good. It's so good. I'm sure many of you still remember where you were when Tiger King dropped. A documentary series that took the world by storm, had us all in a titty twister, making references and discussions about it for probably close to like a full month. Because it was a riveting tale, full of twists and turns that no one would have ever expected, with a cast of wacky, zany characters and some really dark shit. A documentary where everyone's a villain, and it is some revolting garbage that they get involved in, and it gets very sad very quick. And it led to like a lot of mystery too. So people were constantly talking about like, oh yeah, Carol Baskin definitely killed her husband. She sucked his soul out like Shang Tsung. Or even hatching their own conspiracy theories like, no, Carol Baskin's husband is most certainly alive, hanging out with Tupac, you know, on this island over there. Or, I just saw Carol Baskin's husband put a quarter into the little rocket ship right outside of Kmart. He's definitely still breathing in this corporeal dimension. I actually was just at a Denny's and Carol Baskin's husband leaned over and asked if I wanted to share a crack pipe with him. It was a documentary series that blew up. Absolutely exploded. And now 4 years later, Eric Goode, the man behind Tiger King, has released a new documentary called Chimp Crazy. And there's 2 episodes out at the moment, and I just watched both of them, and I kind of want to give you my thoughts on it here. First and foremost, this show follows a similar concept. Exotic animals and a lot of twists and turns and a lot of demented, diabolical even, events that unfold. I'm going to try and avoid like big spoilers, but I do want to talk directly about a couple things in these episodes. The documentary mainly follows someone named Tanya Haddock, and she describes herself as the Dolly Parton of chimps. She says others call her that, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that it's mainly just a title she came up with for herself. That's her little Xbox Live gamer tag, the Dolly Parton of chimps. She gets a lot of work done, does a lot of tanning, and it's kind of a big part of her personality to a certain extent, I suppose. But the big thing about her is she is obsessed with chimps. And she gets a job working at a chimp sanctuary, which is a term I'm using very loosely to describe how she gets involved in this story. Initially, I thought Tanya was someone who had maybe seen Tiger King and saw Joe Exotic become like a household name for a little while, and she wanted to try and capture that lightning in a bottle herself, so she tried to, latch on to that, suckle from that bosom of success. However, by the end of episode 2, it becomes very clear, well, even in the middle of episode 1, it became very clear to me, no, she just has like a legitimate obsession. She has no background or no education in anything even tangentially related to chimpanzees, yet gets a job caring for them, and you can obviously start to connect some dots that that's not exactly a good combination. That's a recipe for disaster. So it starts to showcase how miscared for a lot of chimpanzees at this foundation she works at were. And it documents this legal battle between her, the foundation, and PETA. That's the focal point here. But it also just shines a light on the buying and selling of chimpanzees in general. And from the very beginning, they bring in some people. It seems like there's a whole community of people whose entire lives revolve around chimpanzees. So one of the first people we're introduced to is someone who has pretty much dedicated their whole lives to them, and even talks about how when a baby chimpanzee was born, it was born premature and couldn't digest formula. So what she ended up doing was breastfeeding the chimpanzee, actually breastfeeding it. The husband then goes on and he goes, "Yep, so I walked in on Pam holding our baby, a human baby, in one hand on one boobie, and then the chimpanzee on the other." She was literally akimbo breastfeeding one human and one chimpanzee, apparently. So it becomes very clear that this documentary is going to explore some weird shit. We have this woman and her husband talking about how she was dual-wielding her honkers in order to breastfeed a fucking chimpanzee and her baby as well at the same time. That's unfathomable. That's so baffling. But there's a reason that segment is there. It's because it turns out most chimpanzees that people own as pets come from one person named Connie. And Connie owned this foundation for chimpanzees that she was breeding and selling to people for pets for $40,000 to $65,000 a pop. And Tawny Haddix, the Dolly Parton of chimps, gets a job working there. And then she kind of becomes the general on the front lines fighting a legal battle against PETA when they started to set their sights on that organization for how poorly cared for the chimpanzees were. And from everything I see in the documentary, it seems like they were right on the money with that. I'm not the biggest fan of PETA. I think most of you know that. I still remember the horror stories like the classic, when PETA took a chihuahua from a family and euthanized it immediately. It was like a speed run to kill this random fucking dog at a trailer park. That one I still think about from time to time, about how traumatizing that would be if that happened to one of my animals. As well as a handful of other things, but I'm not here to just talk about PETA. I just wanted to mention that I do think in this legal battle, they were in the right, because Tanya Haddix is an unhinged loose cannon. And it led to a crazy set of circumstances that followed. And it touches on a couple notable cases of chimpanzees as pets. Obviously, the most infamous is Travis the chimp, which I'm pretty confident most of you have at least heard of. Travis the chimp was a chimpanzee that was under the care of its owner. And for many years, no problem, it was actually like a celebrity in their area for the longest time. People taking pictures, Travis traveling around to meet people. Everyone loved Travis. Until one day, well, actually, it was a series of events that led up to it, but basically, as Travis got older, obviously got stronger, harder to, you know, keep under control if he got rowdy or anything, and Travis started to become depressed after the passing of the owner's husband, and it led to a situation where one of the owner's friends came over to help, and Travis ended up ripping her entire face off. Police were dispatched, and they shot and killed Travis because Travis was going on a rampage. He also ripped off a police car door during all of this. And the woman managed to survive, luckily, but her life has never been the same since. She survived the attack, but it was brutal. And the documentary puts this in here to highlight how dangerous it can be to own exotic animals. I've always said that the only people that could ever reasonably have an exotic animal that makes sense are professional animal handlers for that specific animal that they have. I don't think exotic animals should be owned by just Joe Schmoes and fucking random goobers that just say, hey, I like chimps, I'm going to buy one from this lady in Missouri. That is a disaster waiting to happen, and of course it's terrible for the animals. In the documentary, it looks like these chimps are part of a puppy mill. That's what they were comparing it to, and it's pretty accurate from the conditions that they seem to have been living in and everything that was reported and shown. It's not acceptable at all. And the story that gets told here is one that, again, I don't think anyone could predict. Much like how Tiger King unfolded, I feel like most people probably wouldn't expect the directions this goes. I'll just give you a little sizzler reel here of information. I can't actually show you any clips, obviously. But there is a fake death plot. I'll put that on your plate. And it's not the kind of fake death that I think anyone's expecting with me saying that. I'm trying not to get into spoiler territory, but it goes fucking Insano style. It's not quite to the level as Tiger King, but we're only 2 episodes deep, so maybe it gets even wilder. But it is still just riveting. Like, I can't think of another word for it. It's sad, it's dark, it's gloomy, but you can't help but just get invested in the ridiculousness of what keeps unfolding. There's so many moments in these first 2 episodes that really felt straight out of a Tim and Eric sketch. It's crazy that this is reality. Like, heavens to Betsy, a core component of how this case got to where it was pure happenstance that a psychic reached out during the legal battle to drop a bombshell of information about Tanya. Like, and another crucial component to this was like some really weird information about a cremation where they said that they cooked a body at 160 degrees, and all that was left was a pile of ashes that just happened to look like chocolate cake mix. It's just this powder of like chocolate cake mix. And also 160 degrees. Florida almost gets that hot sometimes just going outside. And you don't see people just fucking being deatomized when they open their front door, just melting, being vaporized, turned into a pile of ash. Like, it's so wacky in the weirdest way. And when I was watching it, from the very beginning, it's very odd. So the director, the man behind it, Eric Good, the guy behind Tiger King as well, he was talking about how his reputation from Tiger King has made it like impossible for him to pursue some stories like this because people are apprehensive about it because it painted all the people in Tiger King in such a negative light, so they don't really want to do anything with them. So what he did is he hired a proxy director to kind of fool them into getting into their good graces and being able to do this documentary. And immediately I was like, can you do that? Like, are you even allowed to do that? Like, it almost felt like he was admitting to a crime. And then he also set up like some secret cameras during like a police, I can't say raid because it's not like a raid, but like this police excursion to the chimpanzee facility. He set up secret cameras to like film all of it and get all of these different angles and information. He even filmed like court hearings, and I don't know if that was like okayed beforehand. Like, there's many times I was watching this and I was like, is he even allowed to put this out there? Like, is this even legal with what he's produced? It's so interesting. And Tanya is just like, she's not as, you know, over the top as Joe Exotic. She's like a diet Joe Exotic, but she's like really creepy in a lot of different ways, saying things about her obsession with chimpanzees, like you can transform them into being you, or you can like mold them into being you. It was something to that effect. And then talking about how she loves chimpanzees more than her own children, and she would do anything to protect them, including giving her life. All kinds of statements and all kinds of things that she does, and you're like, whoa, ooh, oh. Like, it is, like, at many points in this documentary, very disturbing. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk about the first 2 episodes here a little bit, and that's about it. So yeah. A new documentary just dropped on Vince McMahon. It's called Mr. McMahon. And even before it came out, like a day before it came out, Vince posted a statement on Twitter addressing it. His statement basically says he doesn't have any regrets, which is what everyone with regrets says. You stinkify your ass and then pretend it doesn't bother you and it was actually just part of your master plan. He goes on to say that he thought he was going to be participating in an objective story about his life, but it turns out it was all a misrepresentation, misleading, using editing tricks and out-of-context footage, smoke and mirrors to distort viewer perception. It's all a bunch of hooey. They trapped you in a genjutsu to make you not like Vince McMahon. When I heard he made this statement, immediately trying to, like, cushion the blow of how bad this documentary must make him look, I went into this expecting a very scathing deep dive into a lot of the deplorable shit Vince McMahon is guilty of doing. There's a lot of allegation, there's a lot of accusations around Vince McMahon, but there's a lot of factual, irrefutable proof behind some terrible, horrible shit he is guilty of. And I thought this documentary was going to be getting into the weeds of all of it. Especially because not only did Vince McMahon put out that statement, he apparently even tried to purchase the documentary so it would never see the light of day. So he was like actively trying to bury it, according to some sources. So I was like, holy shit, this must blow the lid wide open here. I really thought this documentary was gonna fucking stone cold stunner Vince and finally show to the whole world just what a massive piece of shit he is. He has done so much illegal, deplorable, unforgivable trash throughout his career that it is shocking he is not behind bars. And I thought this documentary was going to aim to tell that side of Vince McMahon, to highlight all of those things. Go over the rape allegations, go over all of the sexual harassment, the sexual abuse, all kinds of horrible things Vince McMahon has been accused of over the years. I thought this was the documentary that was going to be dropping bombs and going really in depth on all of it with new information. But it doesn't. It's not that kind of documentary. It mentions them, it talks about them briefly, and lets Vince have his statement on his perspective with all of the lawsuits that he's been engaged with over the decades. I really thought this documentary was focusing on that element. Like, that's the impression that I got from all of it, but that's not at all what it is. This docuseries is mainly telling the story of the rise of the WWF and how it became the juggernaut that it is today with the WWE. It talks about Vince and being a ruthless businessman and everything he did to not only grow wrestling, but grow the WWF into what it is now. It's like a journey through wrestling, through the years, with Vince McMahon at the helm leading the charge and everything he battled and overcame in order to grow the company. And it sprinkles in a lot of the awful shit like sexual abuse, like rape, in a couple of instances through some episodes, but it's never the focus. And I really thought it would be. Now, it's not bad by any means at all. Like, it's a fine documentary, but it's mainly for people that don't know anything about wrestling or Vince McMahon. Like, this is what I would consider like an introductory course to the lore of Vince McMahon and wrestling. Like, it gives you little tiddlywinks, little bits and pieces, appetizers of the controversy, the awful shit Vince has done, as well as controversy in wrestling and controversy when growing wrestling, this and that. But it's not really like a slam dunk piece on Vince McMahon. It's not really there challenging Vince McMahon on a bunch of things. They do occasionally challenge him on a couple of his statements in the documentary, but that's not what this docuseries is about, really. And in their defense, at least to a certain extent, this was filmed, like the interviews, most of them, and a lot of the information was filmed before the most recent set of allegations were made public. the Janelle Grant lawsuit. That's the one with all of the extremely graphic detail and the sex trafficking information, the stuff with all the poopy, which became a big talking point with all the feces and the defecation and just all of the really depraved acts of Vince McMahon that were discussed in the Janelle Grant lawsuit. This took place before that. It is mentioned in the documentary at the beginning, as well as hinted out a little bit towards the end, and then the final episode has a little bit more on it, but it never really like fully dives into it or talks about it at length in the documentary. But it does just give you like the basis of it, as opposed to giving you a deep dive on it. And I guess I just went in there under the wrong pretense. Like, I do think people that know nothing about it will walk away like, damn, this guy really is a villain, and man, the story of wrestling is crazy. But to anyone that knows anything about wrestling and anything about Vince McMahon, there's nothing new here. Except for the interviews. The interviews were pretty insightful. They don't offer new information, but hearing from someone like Vince McMahon directly is fascinating, because it's like hearing from somebody that was born without feeling. Like, this is a guy with no remorse and no ability, I believe, to even feel an emotion other than ambition and greed. Like, that is everything, every fiber in his fucking DNA, and nothing else. No love, no sympathy. He is like the devil. One of the best examples of this is when the documentary brings up the alleged rape of Rita Chatterton. Rita Chatterton was a female referee in the WWF that accused Vince McMahon of raping her, and it led to a lawsuit. And the interviewer during the documentary brings this up to Vince McMahon to get his perspective. He claims it was consensual. And then I wrote this next part down verbatim, because this shit was stunning. Like, this shit, a lightning bolt could have hit me and it wouldn't have been as shocking as what Vince McMahon said next. After claiming it was consensual, he said, "Had it been rape, the statute of limitations had worn off." I'll read that one more time for a little double take, a replay on the Jumbotron. Had it been rape, the statute of limitations had worn off. Yeah, that sounds like something an innocent man would say. Yeah, certainly a not guilty person would say something like that, right? When I tell you I was so surprised I almost squeaked out a fart from my butt cheeks, I'm not lying. I couldn't believe I just heard him say that. Oh, no, it was consensual. Had it been rape, the statute of limitations had worn off anyway. Oh, yeah, shit out of luck, pal. Yeah, sorry about that. No, rape's bad, though. It wasn't that. But, I mean, if it was, not much you could do about it. I went back and rewatched it just to make sure that I got the verbiage correct. It turns out I was a little off. What he said was, it was consensual, and actually, had it been rape, the statute of limitations had ran out. It's all kinds of crap like that that people are digging up to try and have on you. Or what was it? To try and find something on you, I think is what it was. Like, that's the whole statement. That's the context. It's not like it's an out of context statement. And what preceded it was, he was talking about how, like, he's been accused of so many things like rape that, you know, he doesn't even, like, really pay it much of a mind anymore. So he just talks about this so nonchalantly. So even though the information there isn't new, that allegation of Vince McMahon raping Rita has been around for a long time. It is a new lens on it because now Vince weighs in, and wow, he expertly weighs in on it. Man, what a guy. But yeah, overall, there's no new info per se in it, but it is definitely interesting to hear the interviews and perspectives of, you know, some of the best wrestlers of all time, and Vince McMahon himself directly talking about some of this shit. There's also a lot of, like, moments in the documentary where Vince McMahon says something, and then the documentary will show you the exact opposite to highlight how Vince McMahon just can't stop fucking lying most of the time. Like, you can't trust anything that comes out of his mouth, like, at all. So Vince McMahon will blatantly lie about something, and the documentary then played, like, a clip that immediately contradicts what he said, which I appreciate, and that does, like, critique him and criticize him, challenge him to a certain extent. I just thought that was going to be most of the content of the documentary, and it's not. That's just a component of it. The bulk of the documentary is, again, on the rise of the WWF and the ascension into this multi-billion-dollar company and all the controversies that led to it and all the business decisions that led to it and all the people involved, not just Vince. So I do want to reiterate that it's not a bad documentary, but it's one I went into with the wrong perception of what I was going to be watching. Anyway though, just kind of wanted to talk about that. Vince McMahon is a huge piece of shit. I do recommend at least watching this to get the basics on some of the horrible shit, not even the full story on all of his crimes and awful, horrible, unforgivable shit that he's done over the years, but it's at least a good Cliff Notes version of it. So yeah, that's really about it. See ya.